how in the world do people get through life without being this connected to God? How do they do it? How do they walk out their front door without being this connected, this intensely, intimately connected? How, I wouldn't set foot out in the world without this connection. I would be terrified. And when I think of things, I had, I went through a period of a couple of years where I had grand mal seizures, as you know, about 25 years ago. It was the last seizure I had. And I could feel this grand mal coming on. And I knew I'm sitting at the counter and I thought, I've got to get to a soft landing. I've got to get to the couch. I've got to get off and I looked down and I thought this will break my neck because I was sitting on one of those higher chairs that you have at a breakfast thing. And I thought, I'm going to break my neck. And then I heard my guide who said, let go, I've got you. And boom. And Tammy, I woke up on the ground. I should have had a broken skull or a broken neck, but not an injury. And the chair I was on was 10 feet from me. 10 feet, Tammy. And the first time I had a grand mal, because I've had about 6 in this period of time. I was still in New Hampshire. This is how far back these experiences were. And I woke up on the floor in my office in the farmhouse. And I looked at the clock and the clock had been turned around on my desk to face me, and the phone was on the floor next to me. On the floor. And as I lay there, I thought, what happened to me? And I heard my guide, and he said, you've had a grand mal, call Norm. Now, I'm never told, you'll be fine, you don't have a brain tumor, you'll just be fine, pull yourself together, da-da-da-da. But I follow these instructions with such trust and confidence. So I got up and I went to Norm's clinic, and I went through all the MRIs and he was looking for a brain tumor and you know, this intimacy with heaven doesn't mean you're off the hook from any illness or anything like that. So I spent 4 years dealing with idiopathic seizure activity. They couldn't figure out why. I broke my nose. I busted my forehead. I had all kinds of horrible things happen. And then it ended. And during that time, I mean, my wiring was, they call it the mystics disorder. And I think maybe there's a lot of truth to that, because my inner wiring was shifting. And there was a moment where I could actually feel things getting burned into my brain. I know it sounds a little bit odd, except that it's not. I think that for me, the mystically unreasonable has always been incredibly comfortable. I've simply always understood this world, and it's made sense. And it's been my reference point for, when I went into medical intuition and I started to do readings. I mean, I came from a background of theology and journalism and history. I'd never taken an anatomy class, never took anything. So I had to go on trust of my gut instinct and intuition, which, all right, by this time I was 30 years old, and I left my life in Chicago and went up to New Hampshire. Didn't want to go there, but I did. So now I ended up doing medical intuitive readings with Norm Shealy, who I'd met at this meeting in Kansas. And nobody was more surprised than I was that I could do these readings with such accuracy. But with each reading, I felt as if I was entering a universe I didn't know existed. I didn't know we had a human energy system like this. Now, coming from a background in mystical theology, I was schooled in the soul, but not an energy anatomy. All right. This was, and here is another thing that I owe everything to what I learned in as a medical intuitive. I had no idea that every single choice we make is truly an act of creation, or that we are as finely organized energetically in our anatomical system as we are physically. Today, I would teach that we live in a bio-spiritual ecology, and that we are micro-earths, and that every single choice you make, everything, is an incredible act of creation. And that self-esteem is your major building block in order to get how incredibly powerful you are. And that one of the reasons each person feels such deep resentment when they say things like, I have to get my power back, is because power is the fundamental ingredient of the human experience. It is our power that we are here to manage, to govern, to use creatively. That in fact, the journey of life is actually the journey of moving from our love of power to the power of love. And that is essentially the journey every one of us is on. And that journey plays out in our bio-spiritual ecology, which is our body.